Number 1.
When I was 14, I was waiting for the bus, and this pickup truck pulled up beside me. The driver kept waving at me to come closer, and he held up a map. It seemed like he wanted directions. I went over to the truck, and he rolled down the window. I didn't realize what was happening until he reached out and tried to grab me by the hair. I dropped my bag and ran for it as he sped off. When I got home, I woke my mom and told her what happened. She flipped out. Then, we looked out the window. Surprise, surprise. The truck was sitting across the street, and the man was sitting in the driver's seat staring up at us. That's when I flipped out. My mom called the police and gave them a description, but the man drove off. Later on, the police called back to tell us that they had pulled someone over and wanted me to take a look at him. They put me in the back of an unmarked patrol car with tinted windows and drove me past the guy who was being questioned outside his truck. It was him. I almost had a panic attack. They charged him with attempted kidnapping. It made all the local newspapers. The spot where they pulled him over was right in front of an elementary school, and when they searched his truck, they found rope, duct tape, and an axe.
Number 2.
Let me tell you guys about this one time my mom stopped a possible kidnapping. I had to only be about 4 years old when this incident had occurred because I wasn't in school yet. I stayed home with my mom every day because she wasn't working at the time. And whenever my mom and I got bored, she would take me walking around the block or down the block to the local corner store to grab some snacks and such. On our way there, we saw a small Hmong girl playing in the driveway by herself. She looked a bit older than I was. We were still some distance away from her, but noticed a car pull up next to her. A black man rolled down his window, and he started talking to the little girl as his car rolled slowly, as if he was trying to lure her in. My mom already began having her suspicions, so she grabbed my hand and squeezed it tightly, and we walked closer. Even as a child myself at the time, I knew something was off. And then, out of nowhere, my mom rushed over and grabbed the girl and told the man to leave. He asked my mom who she was, and she said she was an aunt and the girl was her niece, and for him to leave now. I just stood there, scared. The man eventually sped off. My mom grabbed the little girl's hand and asked her where she lived, and she pointed at her house, and we went over, and my mom knocked on the door. This Hmong couple opened the door, and the little girl ran inside. My mom asked them if they were the parents, and they said yes. She then went on to explain what had just happened, and they thanked her. They told her that they didn't even know that their daughter was outside because they had a few kids, and they just assumed that they were all playing in the other room. As a way of showing their appreciation towards my mom, they offered us food and offered me a soda, but my mom kindly declined. As soon as we got back home, my mom told me, "See, this is why mommy always tells you not to talk to strangers and to always stay near me." This was by far the most heroic thing my mother has ever done in my eyes.
Number 3.
This isn't something catastrophic that happened to me, but still interesting. I'm 16 years old, and last year, when I was walking home from school, I saw two little kids that couldn't be older than 9 were walking home a little bit in front of me. I assumed that they were brother and sister. Anyway, me being so much bigger with longer legs, I eventually started to catch up to them. And right when I was about to turn off into my street, I noticed the car pulling up next to them, asking them to get in. My heart stopped when I heard the older one say, "But mister, we don't know you." After that, I kept walking towards them and screamed out, "Lucy! Mark!" because I didn't know their actual names. And they both looked at me. I ran up and said, "Guys, you can't go running off on me like that, okay? You gotta stay close." I pretended like I didn't see that car pulling up next to them, and I walked with them until the car drove off. They asked me who I was, but I just kept telling them to be quiet until the man goes away. When the guy left, I told them not to talk to strangers and walked them home. I explained to their parents what happened, and I don't think I've ever seen more grateful parents. Hello everyone. Thank you for stopping by to listen to tonight's episode. As you guys may notice, this one seems a bit different from my other videos. But if you've had a chance to look over the overview of my channel, you would see that I not only want to tell scary stories, meaning ghost stories alone, but I want to start telling stories from all around, from kidnappings to murder, mystery, in hopes to raise awareness. And so, I hope that all of you can come on this journey with me. And again, if you have stories of your own, please submit them to my email address below. Thank you.